Tonight's story will take you deep into the forgotten corners of the Wild West, where survival, desperation, and courage collide in ways most men never see. What would a mother do when her child is starving? And what happens when a lonely cowboy becomes her only hope in a world that has already turned its back on her? Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know where in the world you're watching from. Let's get started. The desert night stretched endlessly, the wind carrying the taste of dust and loneliness as it swept across the barren plain. The moon hung large and pale, casting silver across the rugged trail where a lone cowboy named Cole Hunter walked with slow, measured steps. He wasn't expecting company, and the land had taught him long ago that unexpected company usually carried trouble on its back. His boots scraped the ground with each step until he reached the wooden porch of his cabin. The boards creaked beneath him, a reminder of how long it had been since he last cared about repairs or comfort. Cole knelt near the dim lantern outside the door, sharpening the edge of his knife with steady, practiced motions. The cold night suited him. It matched the quiet he preferred, the kind that settled deep inside a man who had lost more than he ever dared to speak about. But silence rarely lasted forever on the frontier, and tonight it shattered with the faint sound of footsteps, slow, dragging, tired footsteps, approaching from the dark trail. Cole instantly stiffened, placing the knife aside and gripping the revolver holstered at his hip. A figure approached slowly, barely visible in the moonlight. It was a woman, wrapped in a thin, worn-out blanket that did little against the night's cold bite. She walked with a limp, her hair long and black, braided in a way Cole recognized instantly. Apache. Her face was streaked with dust and exhaustion, her shoulders slumped as if she carried more weight than her body could bear. When she finally stepped into the light, he saw the desperation etched into her eyes. A desperation he had only seen in those on the brink of giving up everything. Before Cole could speak, her voice trembled into the air, brittle as fragile glass. "Hire me for one night, my daughter is starving." Cole froze. He had heard plenty of things in his life, lies, threats, bargains, but nothing hit him quite like that. She wasn't begging for food. She wasn't asking for shelter. She was offering the only thing she had left to trade, herself, and any man who pushed a woman to that point deserved to rot under the desert sun. Cole swallowed hard, forcing back the anger rising in his chest. He wasn't angry at her. He was angry at whatever godforsaken cruelty forced her to make such an offer. He kept his voice steady, low, firm. "No, not that. Tell me what happened." Her eyes flickered, unsure whether to believe him or expect cruelty. Then she exhaled, shaky and broken. "My tribe cast me out. My husband died last winter. The cold took everything. My daughter, she hasn't eaten in 2 days. I can't hunt. I can't find roots. I'll do anything if it saves her." Cole clenched his jaw, memories he had buried clawing their way back to the surface. His little sister, frail and fading, hunger taking her long before help arrived. He had been helpless then. He had sworn he'd never watch someone die that way again. "Where is she?" he asked, softer than he expected. The woman turned slightly, motioning into the darkness behind her. A small shape moved hesitantly toward the light, tiny bare feet tapping softly against the dirt. The child stepped forward, a little girl no older than 7, trembling in the cold. Her dress was torn, too thin for the night winds, and her eyes held that unmistakable hollow look of hunger, deep, painful, familiar. Cole felt something inside him twist. Without a word, he removed his coat and wrapped it gently around her small shoulders. She looked up at him, startled, as if she had forgotten what kindness felt like. "You both are coming inside," he said. "No one is paying me anything." Inside the cabin, Cole lit more lamps, warmed the room, and laid blankets near the fire. The woman, Naya, he would later learn, watched him carefully, as though expecting the moment his kindness would turn into something else. But he stayed quiet, moving with purpose, grabbing whatever food he could find. When he placed a bowl of warm broth and cornbread in front of the girl, she hesitated for only a second before devouring it with trembling hands. Her mother's eyes softened for the first time, relief nearly knocking her off her feet. Cole watched silently, arms crossed, something heavy settling in his chest. These two had suffered more in a month than most men suffered in a lifetime. He sat across from Naya, who kept her hand protectively on her daughter, even as the child drifted into exhausted sleep. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Naya," she replied. "My daughter is Kiona." Cole nodded. "You're safe here tonight. Rest." But as the fire crackled and shadows danced across the cabin walls, Cole felt something prick at the back of his neck. A warning, the kind cowboys learn to trust more than their own eyes. He stood suddenly, walked to the door, and stepped out onto the porch. The wind had changed. The air was too still, too expectant. He scanned the tree line, his fingers curling around the barrel of his rifle. And then he heard it, a low whistle carried by the breeze, a signal, not a bird call, not a wandering settler, a warrior's call, Apache braves. His stomach tightened. He returned inside and Naya's face instantly paled. "They followed me," she whispered. "They think I betrayed them or ran to seek protection from the white men. They won't listen. They'll just take me, or worse." "How many?" Cole asked. "5, maybe 6. Warriors, armed." Cole breathed sharply. 6 Apache braves against 1 cowboy wasn't a fight, it was a death sentence. But leaving a woman and child to be dragged away, that was something he could never live with. "Stay inside, don't move." Naya grabbed his arm. "They won't stop. They'll kill you." He shook his head. "They'll have to try." He stepped outside again, planting his boots firmly on the porch. Shadows shifted between the trees. Figures moved, silent, coordinated, dangerous. Then one stepped forward, tall and decorated in paint, spear in hand, eyes sharp with suspicion and anger. "You shelter the woman," he said sternly. "She has broken our laws." Cole lifted his rifle slightly. "She's a mother trying to save her child. That's not a crime." The warrior's jaw tightened. "Give her to us," he said, "or we take her by force." Cole narrowed his eyes. "If you want her, you're gonna have to walk over me first." And just as the tension snapped, the door behind him creaked open. Naya stepped forward, voice trembling as the warriors drew their weapons. "Stop," she cried. "If you want me, take me, but leave my daughter." "She's done nothing." Her words cut through the night like a blade. Cole turned toward her in shock, but before he could stop her, she stepped forward into the open, surrender in her eyes. And the moment she did, the warriors tightened their formation, ready to strike. The Apache warriors tensed as Naya stepped fully into the moonlight, her hands raised, her eyes lowered in surrender. The wind pushed her hair across her face, as if trying to pull her back toward the safety of the cabin she had just walked away from. Cole's heart dropped when he saw her take that step. It wasn't fear for himself anymore, it was the realization that she was willing to sacrifice herself to give her daughter even the smallest chance at life. He took a step forward, blocking her path, but she shook her head gently, the kind of gesture that carried a lifetime of pain and acceptance. "You protected us," she whispered to Cole. "That's enough. My people won't listen. They believe mercy is weakness. They believe I broke our laws by surviving without them. You have Kiona now. Keep her safe. Don't let her starve." Her voice faltered at the last word, tears gathering in her eyes, but Cole felt a surge of anger so strong it almost lifted him off the ground. "No," he growled quietly. "You don't get to give up. Not after making it this far. Not after keeping your child alive with nothing but your will." The Apache chief stepped closer, spear in hand. His voice carried authority and finality. "Woman, return now. You have shamed your people by fleeing. You will face our judgment." Cole raised his rifle slightly, not aiming but warning. "She came here to save her daughter. That's not shame, that's courage." The chief's eyes narrowed at the cowboy's audacity. "White man, this is not your matter. She is ours. She belongs to the tribe." Cole shook his head slowly. "No. A mother belongs to her child." Before anyone could react, the little girl Kiona stumbled out of the cabin doorway, rubbing her tired eyes. "Mama," she whispered, voice trembling with fear. Naya gasped and tried to rush to her, but one of the warriors blocked her path with a spear. Cole stepped in front of Kiona instantly, shielding her with his own body. The child clung to his leg, her small fingers gripping his worn coat, eyes wide with panic. The chief's expression flickered, not with compassion but with confusion. "Why does the child cry for you?" Cole didn't answer. Kiona answered for him. "He gave me food," she said. "He helped us. He didn't hurt Mama, he saved us." The warriors shifted uneasily, glancing at each other. Kindness from a cowboy was not something they expected. It complicated everything in their rigid view of loyalty and exile. Naya fell to her knees, hands pressed together. "Please, please let my child live. Take me, punish me, but let her stay. She will die if you force us back." The chief's jaw tightened. His authority wavered for the first time. The idea of leaving a child with a stranger, even a white man, was dangerous, unthinkable, offensive to their traditions. But taking a starving child back to a tribe that had already cast out her mother was equally senseless. One of the younger braves stepped forward. "Chief," he murmured in their language, "the child will not last a day on the journey back. She needs food, warmth. if the woman broke our law by fleeing. Perhaps her punishment does not include the child." The chief glared at him but did not disagree outright. The warriors awaited his judgment. Nea's breath trembled as she looked at Cole, silently pleading, silently hopping. Cole stepped closer, putting himself between her and the warriors again. "If you take her," he said, looking straight at the chief, "then you're killing her. And you know it. I don't care about your laws, I care about what's right. Leave them here, let me feed them, shelter them. No one has to die tonight." The chief's nostrils flared, his authority challenged by a man standing alone. The warriors gripped their bows, waiting for a signal to attack. But then Kiona spoke again, her voice so small it trembled in the night air. "Please," she whispered. "Mama needs me, I need Mama." The chief looked at the child, her thin arms wrapped around Cole's leg, her eyes bright with fear and hunger. Something shifted in his expression, a memory perhaps of his own child long buried. He exhaled slowly, lowering his spear. "You may stay," he said to Nea, "with your daughter, for now, but you cannot return to us. Your place is no longer with the tribe. You are dead to our people." The words struck Nea like a blade, carving away the last connection she had to her past. Her knees buckled, and she fell to the dirt, tears streaming silently. But Cole stepped forward and helped her to her feet with a steady hand. The chief turned his gaze toward Cole. "If you harm them, if you treat them with cruelty, we will return, and you will face our judgment." Cole nodded, his voice steady. "I wouldn't hurt them, not now, not ever." After a tense moment, the warriors backed away, disappearing into the shadows of the trees like ghosts dissolving into the night. The chief gave one final lingering look before turning and vanishing with the others. Soon, the only sound left was the whispering wind and Nea's quiet sobs. Cole let out a breath he didn't know he had been holding. He gently guided Nea and Kiona back into the cabin, closing the door behind them. The tension lifted slowly, replaced by exhaustion and fragile relief. The fire crackled softly, warming the room. Kiona curled up in Cole's coat again, leaning her head against her mother's side. Nea wiped her tears, her shoulders trembling as she tried to regain her strength. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. "They would have killed you." Cole shook his head. "I've lost people before. I wasn't about to lose you and your little girl, not when I could help." Nea stared at him, uncertainty and gratitude battling in her eyes. "You don't even know us." "Why?" Cole looked at the fire, its light reflecting memories he rarely allowed himself to revisit. "Because once someone needed help and no one stepped in. I'll never stand by again." The night grew warmer inside the small cabin. Nea and her daughter ate more, slowly reclaiming life with each bite. Cole sat near the door, watching over them not as a guard, but as someone who had found something he didn't know he was missing: purpose. Nea eventually reached out, placing her hand over his in a gesture of quiet gratitude. He didn't pull away, she didn't let go. Days passed, then weeks. Cole built a small shelter next to the cabin for extra space. Nea helped with chores, gathering herbs, cooking meals. Kiona brought laughter into the silent ranch, chasing chickens, drawing pictures in the dirt, asking Cole endless questions about horses and stars. The cabin no longer felt like a tomb of old memories, it felt alive. One evening, as the sun set behind the red mesas, painting the sky with gold and crimson, Nea stood beside Cole on the porch. The breeze was warm. The world finally felt peaceful. "The tribe will never take us back," she whispered. "We have no home now." Cole looked at her, then at Kiona playing nearby. "You do now," he said softly, "as long as you want it." Nea's eyes filled with tears, not of pain this time, but of something new, something fragile and hopeful. She nodded slowly, her voice trembling. "Then we will stay, if you'll have us." Cole smiled, a real smile, the kind he hadn't felt in years. "I'd be honored to." And as the stars lit the sky, the lonely cowboy, the cast-out widow, and the child who had once been starving stood together under the vast desert night. Not broken, not abandoned, but finally home.